हरे कृष्ण। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषण्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्ति। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्ण. Continue our discussion in the 12th chapter of Bhagavatam. The section is every section has a very particular purpose, because of why the reason it is given, because Parikshit Maharaj is very less time. That means every topic that is discussed is very, very important to be understood. And it should be understood the way Rajas are trying to help us understand. Because we will grow in our Krishna consciousness nicely in that way. That's why it's a very systematic presentation, a very logical sequence. Everything is good. And now we see that Brahma started his creation. First he created ignorance, and then he created all his children without the help of any wife. That means he's a very powerful person. Here in this material world, there are some enjoyment, and with that there is a payment. If you enjoy here, you have to pay also. And for the people on the higher planet systems, there's a higher level of enjoyment, and they have already paid for it. They are still, like Brahma has to do penance because he wanted to. Why he has to do penance? Because he wanted to be a creator. That means there is a pleasure in creation. Brahma want to experience that pleasure. Because he want to experience pleasure, he is paying for it. And for 100 celestial years, he has performed tapasya so that he can get opportunity to be the creator of the universe. Of a secondary creator, but there is a pleasure in that. And now, but the point is, when you're doing creation, along with pleasures, there are some difficulties also. In beginning only, Brahma faced difficulties. First, he created four Kumaras and told, "Can you help increase the population?" We say, "No, it's none of our business. You carry on. You want to be a Prajapati? We don't want to be Prajapatis. Why we should create? We want to be Prajapati. That's your desire. We are not going to do. We are interested in self-realization." And Brahma became very upset. He said, "Arey, I did so much, and the children are born and they are not even interested only in my purpose." And he became so upset. And Lord Rudra appeared. And Brahma asked, "Can you help?" He said, "Yeah, I'll help." But when he created some progeny, it was contrary to what Brahma expected. And Brahma has to again tell, "No, no, stop, stop." So there are so many adversities that Brahma has to face. First, he has to first identify where he is, and then he has to do tapasya, and then his children did not agree. And the one who agreed, it was not up to the mark. And then he creates all other children. The list we have seen: Pulaha, Pulasya, and Vasishtha, and all this Veera, Narada, Daksha. And they are of different modes, and their actions are of different quality. And then after that, then there is, he also creates education, charity, penance, truth, or set of four legs of religion. And to learn this religion, there are four spiritual orders of life, along with different classification of caste according to occasion. So brahmachari is education, charity is grahastha, penance is vanaprastha, and searching for the absolute truth is sannyas, like that. Oh, and then he says that Savitram Prajapatyam cha Brahmam cha Brahattata Varta Sanchaya Shila Nishilina Shilom Cha Iti Vaigrihe. Then the thread ceremony for the twice bomb was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedic Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, occasion in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. So here there is for brahmacharya, then there is grahastha, then vanaprastha, and these are the things that are explained here. Now for brahmacharya, it is first is the thread ceremony. What happens is every ceremony has a particular purpose. So here the thread ceremony, basically all these things are meant to give an identity, give a proper ego for the living entities, especially human, to grow properly. So here thread giving ceremony, the main purpose is to create ego, create a proper ego. So this ceremony, this is all called samskaras, right? So the samskaras, what they do, they create proper ego. Now, when a boy is brought at the age of 5 to 7, that is a time there to perform the ceremony. He is given this thread ceremony. And why this thread? It has a proper, there is some very scientific purpose behind it. So they should not, it's a very important meaning. It's how whole Brahmanda and everything. And then what happens is another important thing that is another important thing is they need to there is 3 sandhyas. So first is sanskara is for creating ego. Now this boy is told that you are a brahmachari now. So now what happens is so many people came and they all acknowledged, yes, now you are a brahmachari. Now what happens? It creates an ego for the boy. Then he knows, okay, I have to follow all the standards. So all the standards, what is that? Cleanliness, and then truthfulness. You should be service attitude. So all these things you should respect is. So all these things, as soon as you give him the identity, he starts following, he starts identifying himself like that, and then he wanted to follow all the things which are meant for that identity. That's how it happens. The stronger the ego, the greater a person will follow the standards related to that. And this helps. The sanskaras, they create proper ego. Now the bro is a brahmachari. Now what happens? As with the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of Vedic of the Vedas, rules for observing complete abstinence on sex life, occasions in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household. So here, first abstinence, and then also is learning Vedas. So he gets educated. So this is actually what is taught to a brahmachari. And then there are also some professional duties that is also taught to him based on whatever his nature is, basically his varna. Is given some training so that he can maintain himself, and that's all. Then there is vanaprastha, so he is trained nicely. Now here, this another important reason for this thread is that the thread ceremony, it helps. Prabhupada writes, during student life, the brahmachari are given full instructions about the importance of human form of life. So the training is given here only, so that they don't waste. Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. Only students unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. Otherwise, the student would remain a permanent brahmachari, observing complete abstinence from sex life for his whole life. It all depends on the quality of students' training. We have the opportunity to meet such an avowed brahmachari, the person of our spiritual master Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. Such a great soul is called a Naishtiki Brahmachari. So this is Prabhupada is so happy to glorify spiritual master. And all rules, no, they have certain purpose. It's not like if there is a freedom in following rules. What happens is why the identity is so much. Why, like people they criticize. They say this Vedic Varnashram is a caste system. Varnashram is not caste system. It's actually very scientific way to help the society grow in a progressive way. It's not a caste system. It's for healthy mind. All these things which are given here, it is actually healthy body and healthy mind. We discuss this also, and soul. So these all things are given. That's why these rules are made, and this is rules for freedom. They give so much freedom for a living entity. Now, Vaikanasavaklabhyam durdum bhara pehanapavane nashe kutichaka purvam bhut hamsa nishkriyau. The four divisions of retired life are Vaikhanasa, Valakyas, Dumpas, and Fempas. The four divisions of renounced life are Kutichaka, Bahudas, Hamsas, and Nishkriyas. All were manifested from Brahma. He also created these systems. The Prabhupada read the Varnashram Dharma, or institution of four divisions and orders of social and spiritual life, is not a new invention of modern age as proposed by the less intelligent. It's an institution established Brahma from the beginning of creation. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvarna Maya system. So Lord is only creating this because that helps people have these four tendencies. One tendency is for a student you want to study. Then there is a tendency to protect and maintain. And then there is tendency for making money. And there is tendency for service. So here, now study, learn, or teach. So somebody want to teach, somebody want to give protection and manage, and somebody want to make money, and somebody want to serve. So these are the four tendencies in the humans. Whichever is prominent, that person comes to this category. If the teaching and learning is prominent, then he comes under category of a Brahmana. Now the point here is what happens with all these things is if you are given, okay, now you told, okay, you are a Brahmana, and now you set a standards for this. You give proper, what are the standards? Now what happens to a person? It helps him to grow nicely. Okay, I am a Brahmana. Now you set all the standards for a Brahmana. So they will know what to follow. From the childhood only he is following. That's why they send the children to Gurukul, and Guru identifies. Oh, this person is he is so much into learning, and then he identifies, okay, he's a Brahmana. He identifies. Then he gives the rules and regulations and training. And now problem with modern is they don't know what is his varnas. And because of which what happens is everybody is given same education and it's no need. Is that's why most of the education which we do will never help in our profession. Many people do business. They did engineering, they did medicine. My friend, he did medicine, he's doing business. And some of them they did some study of engineering, which is nothing to do with the work they are doing now. There's no connection. That is the problem because they are given, everybody is given the same thing. So they fail to help them here, but the system is very nicely made in Varnashram. How? So here it is directly coming from the Lord. So not only that, even the ashramas also here, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa ashrama. So what happens is now there is a student life, then the person enters into family life, and then after some time he there is a tendency to retire. Everybody is after 40, end of 40s and 50s, people always get this thought. They feel tired, they want to get retired of work. Many of them I saw, they say, okay, let me get my children married and then I want to be peaceful. Because the tendency is there. Now, what to do in that situation? Instead of just doing some uh, playing with grandchildren, person should do some penances. That's why there are 4 ashrams. Okay, you can play with your grandchildren, but not you should not spend so much time with them. You have another thing. So the retired life is there are 4 categories. And then after retirement, after some time, he feels maybe I should renounce only this world. Then there are 4 levels of sadness. So in that way, it's a very systematic grow of a person and make him towards perfection. That is the of somebody grihastha only he is continuing. So it is said for a Brahmana, he can take sannyas. Kshatriya can take till Vanaprastha only. Vaishyas also at the best Vanaprastha. Shudras, they remain as grihasthas. They cannot even take Vanaprastha. And Kali Yuga, Kalo Shudras. That's why we don't find any Vanaprastha. Now, for devotees, it is not applicable. We don't do Varnashrama. We chant, we perform bhakti. In any situation you perform bhakti, we can be elevated. So there is a concession. But rules are always helpful. See, what happens is, if Varnashrama, it is like sometimes in the many places we hear Prabhupada speaking about Varnashrama. Now, what is this meant is, like say somebody took to Krishna consciousness, but he falls, then he'll fall to materialistic life. So he falls to materialistic. But there is a net of Varnashrama. He will don't fall so low. He will fall on this net of Varnashrama. So that is the advantage of having this system, this arrangement of the system to protect a person completely falling down from Krishna consciousness. Like in the West, this is actually what happened after Prabhupada left. Many of them they left because they don't have that system to protect. If they have some system like this Varnashrama, it will definitely. Varnashrama is not some. It's not just you need to have a farm community under. No, it's a state of mind. You need to basically. There are some rules that need to be which are favorable to bhakti. We need to follow. That's it. And there are many other things that are Brahma created. Anvikshikiti triya varta danda nitistata cha evam vyahritayaschasan pranavo hi asya darhataha. The science of logical argument, the Vedic goals of life, laws and order, law and order, moral codes, and celebrated hymns. Bahu, Bhu, Bhuva, and Swa. All were manifested from the mouth of Brahma, and the Pranava Omkara was manifested from his heart. It's all coming. Basically, they are already there. There, we are given access through that. Like, say, government produces certain schemes, some welfare schemes. Now, then there is a shop where you go and you can, or some office where you can avail the scheme or some facility which is government is. It looks I am getting from the office, but it is directly from government. Similarly, Brahmaji is like that retail who is supplying, but everything is coming from Mahavishnu, the Supreme Lord. The Brahma is for this creation, it is all coming from Brahma. That's why he is very supreme. Now, can you imagine what pleasure Brahma must be experiencing? Because he is creating, everything is coming from him, the whole creation. What a great experience of pleasure. And for that, he has to do tapasya. He did tapasya to gain that. And now he's enjoying the pleasure of creating all these huge things. Tasyosnik asli lolambho Gayatri Chatvacho Vibho Trishtum Mam Sat Snuto Nushtu Jagnat Ashta Prajapati. Thereafter, one of the arts of literary expressions, Uniksha, was generated from the hair of the body of the Almighty Prajapati. The principal Vedic hymn, Gayatri, was generated from skin. Three, so, from the flesh. Anushtup from the veins, and Jagriti on the bones of the Lord of the living entity. So many things, particular type of these are Trishtup, Anushtup, Jagati, they're all poetic meters. The art of writing, Pankti, a certain type of verse, was manifested from the bone marrow of the Lord of the living entities. The art of writing, Bhrati, another type of verse, was generated from his breath. Now, all these things, it's actually a big, like, there's no competition only. Like, we have elections every 5, 6 years, 4 years, in different based on different countries, and then the government is changed. The leader has to really work hard to maintain, or he has to kill all the people who are opposing him so that this position is maintained. But Brahma, there is no such tension only. Any amount of big demon comes, hardly maybe one times, two times, they have given some trouble to Brahma. Otherwise, nobody can even have access to Brahmaloka, and what to speak of giving trouble. Except Madhukaitava, they stole the Vedas from Brahma's intelligence. But for his post, nobody could make any damage to his post. And that's all. So, like, he's really experiencing some great amount of pleasure. Parastasya bhavajjigva sarvo deha udahrita ushmanam indriyanyahur antastabalam atmanah स्वरासप्त विहारेण bhavanti smi prajapate. From Brahma's soul were manifested the touch consorts, from his body the ovals, from his senses the silvanets, from his strength the semi-ovals, and from his sensual activities the 7 notes of music. Now, this is such a huge task for Brahma, but it gives so much pleasure for him to do it. Like, if we made a house or a temple, and then you have made some little bit small achievement also, you really feel very that after me so many people are getting benefited because of this. Sometime you planted a tree and it became very big, and so many people are sitting under it and taking the fruits. It gives some sort of pleasure. So here also, Brahma, for small thing only people feel very proud. But we can see what type of things are coming from Brahma. In the Sanskrit, there are 13 vowels and 35 consonants. The vowels are a, I, U, I, le, re, a, o. And the consonants are ka, ga, etc. Oh, so here the first 25 letters are called sparshas. There are also 4 antastas, semi-vowels. The ushmas, there are 13, there are 3 called talvya, murdhaya and dhantya. The musical notes are sari, gama, padani. All these sound vibrations are originally called Shabda Brahma or the spiritual sound. It is said, therefore, that Brahma was created in Mahakalpa as the incarnation of spiritual sound. The Vedas are spiritual sound, and therefore there is no need of material interpretation for the sound vibration of Vedic literature. The Vedas should be vibrated as they are, although they are symbolically represented with letters which are known to us materially. In the ultimate issue, there is nothing material because everything has its origin in the spiritual world. The material manifestation is therefore called illusion, the proper sense of term. For those who are realized souls, there is nothing but spirit. Brahman is the personal representative, supreme personality of God, the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the absolute truth and is invested with multifarious energies. So this is actually what is Brahma. The post of Brahma is the highest responsible post within the universe, and it is offered to the most perfected personality of the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of God has to become Brahma when there is no suitable living being to occupy the post. In the material world, Brahma is completely representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transcendental sound, pranava, comes from it. Is therefore invested with multifarious energies from which all the demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varuna are manifest. His transcendental value is not to be minimized, even though he exhibits a tendency to enjoy his own daughter. There is a purpose for the exhibition of such a tendency, Brahma, and he is not to be condemned like an ordinary living entity. So here is a very nice verse. This is whole glorification of Brahma, how important is position. And this shloka, maybe if somebody want to become devotee of Brahma, they can recite this verse glorifying Brahma. And we'll just take few verses. Thereafter, Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in matter of further creation. In his former body, which was transcendental, affection for sex life was forbidden, and Brahma therefore had to accept another body to allow himself to be connected with sex. He thus engaged himself in matter of creation, his former body transformed into fog as previously described. O son of Kurus, when Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of sages of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he seriously began to consider how the population should be increased. Brahma thought to himself, alas, it is wonderful that in spite of my being scattered all over, there is still insufficient population throughout the universe. There is no other cause for this misfortune by destiny. While he was thus absorbed in contemplating and was observing the supernatural power, 2 other forms were generated from his body. They are still celebrated as the body of Brahma. The 2 bodies came out of the body of Brahma. One had mustache and the other has swollen breast. No one can explain the source of their manifestation. Therefore, until today, they are known as Kayam, the body of Brahma, with no indications of their relationship as his son or daughter. The 2 newly separated bodies united together in a sexual relationship. Out of them, the one who had male form became known as Manu, named Swayambhuva, and the woman became known as Shatarupa, the queen of great soul Manu. Thereafter, by sex intelligence, they gradually increased the generation of population one after another. Bharata, in due course of time, he, Manu, begetted in Shatarupa 5 children, 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and 3 daughters, Aputi, Devati, and Prasuti. And then the last verse is, the father Manu handed over his daughter Aputi to the sage Ruchi, the middle daughter Devati to sage Kardama, and the youngest Prasuti to Daksha. From them, all the worlds filled with population. Prabhupada writes nice purport. He says the history of creation of population of universe is given herewith. Brahma is the original living creator in the universe, from whom were generated the Manu, Swayambhu, and his wife Shatarupa. For Manu, 2 sons, 3 daughters were born. From them, all the population, different plants, has sprung up until now. Therefore, Brahma is known as grandfather of everyone, and the personality of Godhead, being the father of Brahma, is known as great grandfather of all living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. So he says, when you are the Lord of air, the supreme justice, Yama, and the fire, the Lord of rains, you are the moon, you are the great grandfather. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance on you. Okay, thank you, Bill. Completed. So I was a little fast, but because we have covered many of the things, it's quite simple, so I didn't explain much. So thank you all very much. We'll continue with tomorrow. We'll start with new chapter, 13th chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.